Could humans advance without aliens? For a long time, people have been fascinated by the possibility that the universe might be teeming with advanced civilizations, that somewhere in the far reaches of space, there are other intelligent beings building starships, creating vast interstellar economies, or communicating in ways we can only begin to imagine. Yet the Fermi Paradox persists. If aliens are out there, why don't we see signs of them? Why does the night sky remain eerily silent? We've uncovered no indisputable evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life, no unambiguous "we are here" signal. This gap between our sense of a vast cosmos and the lack of direct contact or observable footprints is puzzling. One theory I formulated about a year ago suggests that our entire reality might be a simulation, but not just any simulation. It's a specialized test set up by a highly advanced civilization that wants to see whether humanity, if left entirely alone, could advance to spacefaring status without any extraterrestrial help. In this hypothetical base reality, non-human intelligences, NGI, what we might casually call aliens, already colonized the galaxy long before we humans came along. In that more original universe, these NHIEs discovered us at some stage of our development, found us interesting, and decided to assist in our technological and cultural evolution. Perhaps they introduced us to breakthrough propulsion methods, helped us harness energy more efficiently, or even guided us diplomatically so we didn't wipe ourselves out in endless wars. Over time, with their aid, humanity reached the stars. Maybe in that reality there are bustling colonies on distant exoplanets, thriving trade networks, and a grand interstellar community that seamlessly includes both the original NIs and our descendants. At some point, however, a group of human scientists and philosophers in that base reality grew curious about a great what if. If, from the dawn of civilization until the present, humans had never met aliens, would we have still made it to the stars? Would we have invented warp drives or jump gates or whatever advanced technology we relied upon in that actual reality? Or were we only able to do so because of the alien jumpstart? Trying to solve that hypothetical puzzle in their own advanced future lab, they decided to run a simulation. They created a massive, detailed environment, an entire virtual universe that mirrored the conditions of Earth, but with one critical difference. No aliens intervened. It was a coded reality where Earth formed as it did, life arose as it did, and everything up to the dawn of human history played out more or less the same. However, from that point forward, no outside cosmic visitors would appear to share technology or push us along. It would be a humanity-alone scenario, so that the question, could humans do it on their own, could be tested in a controlled environment. This, I propose, is the reality we inhabit now. The reason the cosmos seems so devoid of signals or visitors is that the simulation was deliberately programmed that way. There are no external aliens flying around in starships because the entire system is meant to see if a species, once it gets to our stage, can figure out advanced spacefaring tech by itself. If eventually, within this simulation, we build starships, discover faster-than-light travel, or find a way to colonize other planets, the simulation's purpose would be fulfilled. We'd have proven that humanity, with no outside help, could accomplish the same feats it did in the base reality with that help. Or, if we fail, if we remain confined to Earth or self-destruct or never figure out how to make it big in space, then the simulation's architects might conclude that without alien assistance, humanity never makes it. This model answers the Fermi Paradox in a roundabout way. The silence is artificial. It's the product of a locked environment. Our creators have sealed the edges of our simulation so no real signals can intrude. In the true universe, beyond our simulation's code, aliens might be ubiquitous, billions of civilizations scattered across galaxies. But here, it's just us, because that's the experiment. We receive no messages from the outside, no genuine visitation. When we look out into the cosmos, we see a big, empty stage. Or at best, we see planets that appear lifeless or uninhabitable. As soon as we try to detect cosmic radio signals or extraterrestrial megastructures, our code returns emptiness or random noise, because the simulation is designed to yield that result. Now, one might ask, what about UFOs, ghosts, demons, cryptids, or all the other strange phenomena that people sometimes claim to witness? If this reality is so carefully sealed off, shouldn't it be entirely consistent and free from anomalies? My theory suggests that these bizarre occurrences are simply glitches in the simulation. They might be small cracks where the code momentarily malfunctions and references data from the base reality, or from other simulations running in parallel. Alternatively, they might be debugging artifacts. In complex simulated environments, sometimes unexpected behaviors pop up. Random objects appear or vanish. Laws of physics distort briefly, or improbable events occur. People living in such a simulation might interpret them as supernatural or paranormal activity. The reason these anomalies are so sporadic and hard to verify scientifically is that the simulation tries to self-correct it. The code might quickly patch the glitch and restore normal operation, leaving only a few stunned witnesses with a story that nobody believes. That line of reasoning could explain why UFO sightings sometimes include impossible maneuvers or vanish without explanation. Maybe a starship from the base reality accidentally clips into our simulation for a second, or a debugging tool that the simulators use to check on our progress inadvertently manifests as a bright orb. Then it disappears, leaving us wondering what we saw. Maybe poltergeist activity or demonic visitations are stray bits of code, replaying emotional or historical fragments from prior versions of Earth, or from a previous iteration of the same simulation. One can also imagine that the simulation's architects sometimes log in to run tests, much like game developers do with test builds, generating momentary events that defy our normal physics or logic. To us, they appear as localized anomalies that we call hauntings, apparitions, or cryptid sightings. This approach obviously relies on a lot of speculative assumptions. The simulation would have to be unimaginably advanced, capable of modeling entire galaxies, or at least faking them convincingly enough that our telescopes and instruments detect consistent astronomical data. It would need to maintain continuity over billions of years of apparent Earth history, letting life evolve as if it were real. Also, one might question why advanced aliens who already know how to colonize galaxies would bother running such a simulation. Perhaps it's pure curiosity, an intellectual exercise, or perhaps it's something more practical. Maybe they want to see if humans can produce certain unique innovations when left to their own devices. Or maybe it's simply a matter of historical curiosity. They can't change their real past, but they want to watch the unassisted timeline in action, like running a historical simulation to see how events might have unfolded differently. Skeptics might argue that the simplest resolution to the Fermi Paradox is not that we're in a sealed simulation, but rather that advanced alien life is just extremely rare or chooses not to broadcast. They might say there's no need for a grand cosmic experiment to keep us in a bubble, but the simulation hypothesis does tie together several threads in a single narrative. It explains the absence of contact, the occasional weirdness we observe, and the Matrix-like hints people sometimes claim they've seen. Déjà vu, improbable coincidences, or reality seemingly glitching out. If we assume the entire setup is artificially constructed, then everything from quantum weirdness to dark matter could be placeholders, or illusions coded into the simulation's physics engine. We might never find out the real underlying hardware of the universe if we're just lines of code running on advanced servers in the base reality. Another possibility is that we're not just tested for our ability to become spacefaring, but also for our moral, social, or spiritual development. Perhaps the base reality's humans, having integrated with the NIs, discovered that they themselves might never have achieved peace or cooperation without external help. So they're curious. If left alone, will humans unify or remain trapped in endless conflict? Will we muster the will to handle catastrophic climate events, or manage scarce resources ethically? The experiment might be as much sociological as technological. If we pass some threshold, master clean energy, avoid nuclear self-destruction, unite as one planetary civilization, maybe the simulation's watchers will decide we're ready for the cosmic stage on our own. In that sense, the goal of our existence might be to see if we can replicate the same outcome the real humans achieved with alien guidance, but by relying on our own ingenuity. Will we discover artificial intelligence that can help us manage problems? Will we figure out faster than light travel or generation ships? Will we produce robust colonies on Mars and beyond, thereby ensuring humanity's survival even if Earth becomes uninhabitable? The Watchers presumably are taking notes. One day, when we're teetering on the edge of full galactic exploration, perhaps they'll appear. A final glitch or administrative override in the simulation, and reveal that we've successfully proven we can do it alone. Or maybe they'll wait until we're advanced enough to notice the code ourselves, at which point the illusions break down. If we do fail catastrophically, perhaps they'll reset the simulation with slight tweaks, or just conclude that unassisted humans can't survive. None of this is to say that the theory is definitively correct, of course. It's easy to poke holes in it. Why would we not see more consistent glitch patterns? Why would a simulation so advanced allow for UFO sightings or ghosts at all? instead of flawlessly hiding any anomalies? Why can't we find straightforward proof that we're living in a fabricated environment? Realistically, a perfect simulation might never leak evidence of itself. However, one could argue that we see enough oddities, strange quantum phenomena, unexplainable encounters, that they just might be the footprints of a flawed or hurriedly coded system. Alternatively, the watchers might leave tiny hints intentionally, akin to Easter eggs in a video game, to see if we suspect our reality is artificial. They might even set boundaries, like the speed of light limit, so we can't easily roam beyond certain distances and discover the edge of the simulation. Yet we could also imagine that the watchers aren't perfect. They might be transhumans or trans-aliens from the base reality using advanced technology. But no technology is ever truly flawless. Glitches could slip through. Or maybe they don't care about minor anomalies. So long as the big picture remains intact, they let it ride. That leaves us in our day-to-day life, unaware that we're part of some cosmic control group for a grand experiment. The only reason we suspect anything amiss might be the sheer cosmic silence and a handful of weird sightings. And that might be enough for people like me to propose theories like this. In the end, maybe the Fermi Paradox is simpler than all of this. Maybe advanced life is so spread out and ephemeral that contact is bound to be exceedingly rare. But I find it intriguing to imagine a scenario in which the reason we can't find our cosmic neighbors is that they purposely coded reality to exclude themselves. Perhaps they watched from beyond the simulation's bounds, analyzing data, waiting for us to invent warp drives from scratch. And when we do, or when we reach certain benchmarks, they might shut the simulation down, or step in and say, "Congratulations, you've proven your species can stand on its own. Welcome to the galaxy." Or they might do nothing and let us continue, fully integrated into a simulated cosmos without ever realizing it. Anyway, that's my simulation-based explanation for the Fermi Paradox. We're alone because we're meant to be alone, by design. UFOs, ghosts, demons, and unexplained phenomena. Glitches in the code or ephemeral artifacts of the watchers testing various parameters. It may sound far-fetched, but so do many Fermi Paradox solutions. I'm not particularly protective of this notion, so feel free to tear it apart. It's just a speculative framework that some might find entertaining, or at least thought-provoking. After all, in the grand scheme of cosmic mysteries, we still have no definitive proof of how reality operates on its deepest levels. Sometimes it's fun to imagine that the entire stage we inhabit is a constructed environment for us to play out one big cosmic question. Can humanity rise to the stars on its own, without any helping hand?